Welcome back to Politics Nation. The race to replace Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene is headed to a runoff. Democratic candidate Shawn Harris will take on the other top vote getter, Trump-endorsed Republican Clay Fuller. Early voting starts in 2 weeks. Retired Brigadier General and cattle rancher Shawn Harris joins me now. Welcome back to Politics Nation. Shawn, you received 37% of the vote, and while roughly 2/3 of voters went for Republican candidates, why do you think you were able to emerge as the leading vote getter? Do you feel like you have a strong shot at winning this race?
Well, Reverend Al, first of all, I want to say thanks. I'm glad to be back on your show. And the answer to your question straight off the top is yes. And the reason why is the other night, everybody knew it was going to be very hard for anybody to get to that 50+1, because I think it was like 17, 18 of us in the race. So it was virtually impossible. But our goal was to make sure that we had the turnout to get the most votes and go into this thing with momentum. With that being said, right now, Fuller, the person that I'm running against, he is weak. He can only stand on his own 2 feet because he's standing behind Donald Trump. And right now, when what's happening here in the district, nobody's getting in behind him. He's begging other Republicans to get in behind him. But the reality of it is, other Republicans are saying, you know what, I'm going to give this Shawn Harris a chance because we're actually bringing in Democrats, independents, and yes, Republicans. And that's why we're going to win this thing on April 7th.
Now, your opponent, Clay Fuller, was the leading vote getter in the Republican crowded field with a little over 31% of the vote. He also has the endorsement of President Trump. What's your impression of Fuller?
You know, to be honest with you, like I said earlier, he's weak and he limped across the line. Got to keep in mind, President Trump came here to our district, Rome, Georgia, less than 2 weeks ago. And at the end of the day, he got lucky. Fuller got lucky to get out of that. We were fully expecting that we was going to end up going against Moore. And Moore came in second place to him. And I believe the way this thing is going to play out, because right now what you don't know, Reverend Al, is this. We are at the same time in a runoff, but we also in the middle of a primary. So I don't have any Democrats running against me, but Fuller got all of those people that he just beat the other night. Every last one of them, for the most part, are running against him again. And I fully expect those guys to continue to beat him up. And when April 7th comes, he's going to be highly disappointed. And then I'm going to end up having to run against Moore in November.
Now, I want to stick with this for a minute, right where you went, because despite Trump visiting Georgia last month to throw his support behind Fuller, you've said that the president has not made a difference in the campaign. Why is that?
The reason why that is because guess what? The one person that you hadn't heard say a word in this campaign is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Even though Marjorie hadn't weighed into this race, Marjorie Taylor Greene gets up every day and she says something about Donald Trump and everything that he's doing. And my opponent, Fuller, has said openly, only reason he wants to go to D.C. is to help Donald Trump. With that being said, I'm the candidate that's saying, look, I'm a Democrat, but I'm not tied to a party because I am focused on the people here in Northwest Georgia, period. With what Marjorie says every day is this, is that this economy is bad. We should not be in this war. We can't have health care. All the things that Shawn Harris has been saying forever, Marjorie has went from extreme to coming back toward the middle. With that being said, Fuller owns everything bad that's happened in this district. And in this district, we are farmers. Right now, we are struggling to get our crops in because diesel fuel costs so much. And because of this war that we got overseas, we can't afford fertilizer. So Fuller owns all of that because he has hooked his little red wagon up to Donald Trump 100%.
Now, as you pointed out, Marjorie Taylor Greene may no longer be in office, but she still looms large over this Georgia election. Listen to her talking about the war in Iran earlier this week.
Look, I think there's a big divide, Caitlin, between the baby boomer generation and like Gen X, my generation, and the millennials. You know, our generations have been the ones that have been sent to fight these wars in the Middle East, and our generations have paid a huge cost, and we want to see it over with. But yet it's the baby boomers that are in power that are just clinging to power, living out the end of their days. You know, it really angers me, Caitlin, because I feel like they're ruining it for the rest of us. They're leaving us with tens of trillions of national debt.
You are a retired brigadier general. What are your thoughts on her comments and of the conflict, your thoughts of the conflict in Iran?
I would tell you, it's not many things that Marjorie Taylor Greene and I agree upon, which is the Epstein files. But in this particular case here, we're looking at it through two different lenses. But I agree with her. We should not be in this war right now because this is a war of choice. Donald Trump chose to put us into this war. And Donald Trump needs to come back to the American people and explain to us, why did we get in this war? Is this in our national interest? And then ultimately, how do we define winning? And then how do we get out of it? And then the last thing that any senior leader will say to you, what does the day after winning looking like? Because we have already spent over $11 billion in the first week. This thing is going to be very expensive. But what's more expensive than all of that is our 13 soldiers, airmen that have passed away and committed the ultimate sacrifice. So as somebody who has fought in a war, I don't talk about wars, I fought in one. It is not something that you should easily jump into, because when you kick a hornet's nest, it's not always easy to get away from it. And right now, Iran has made it very clear. They are not ready to stop fighting us. And we have already had some terrorist attacks here in the United States. So he's made us less safe.
All right. Thank you for being with us again, Shawn Harris. Coming up.